My name is Gianni Russo, a.k.a. Carlo, the infamous son-in-law from The Godfather. I'm now known as the Hollywood Godfather, and this is my story.
Before all of the wins in my portfolio, I was a little boy diagnosed with polio. Experimenting with cures, I tried every one. Felt everything in my right, but my left was numb. Walking with a limp, like will I ever run? Once again, or is this it? Am I forever done? Living in the hospital was never fun. Some people were cool, but not everyone. You never know who you're lying in a room with. So I broke a broomstick in half and let it groove with the concrete in the bathroom floor. It had a new tip, stashed it behind the toilet in case I ever had to use it. Cause one day Dolores had a chat with me. Said she got word someone was coming after me. My heart started beating rapidly. I looked in front of me and back of me. Who thinks they're whacking me? Some weeks passed, no one's made.
Welcome, everybody, to Hollywood Godfather. And we have a very interesting guest. I've known her since she's a little girl. First, I want to introduce my co-host and writer, Pat Picciarelli.
Hi, everybody.
And Megan, our millennium. She's going to feel very comfortable having another lady on the show. We very rarely have ladies, fortunately. And I can vouch for this girl. In fact, she actually interviewed me. I don't know if you remember it, at a CNN building on Sunset many years ago. Do you remember that, Alison?
Of course I remember. I remember very well. How could I not remember interviewing you?
That's the voice of Alison Martino. And her father, obviously, is the famous Al Martino. And he sang at my most famous wedding. In fact, the only wedding I really liked was on film only. And I was able to go home and take off my clothes. And not take my bride with me.
Well,
thank you, my love.
A lot of history, don't we?
My God, 50 years next year. Well, you weren't around for that, though. You came.
Well,
back.
the thing is, I was born in 70. So
Oh, wow, but you were a baby, yeah.
I mean, I was 2 or 3 years old when the movie was being made and was released, but it's part of my upbringing, just being in always my life.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like my daughter, Gia. She's 52, and she was being passed around to this old man that she couldn't understand who it was till later on when she got old and realized it was Marlon Brando, who that old man was.
Unreal. I know, right? It's just like that movie was always there in my life, and I think it was the first movie I ever saw. I kind of skipped the Disney thing and went right into seeing The Godfather at like 4 or 5, and knowing my dad was on television, and I think being a singer also kind of was an extra additive of him singing in the house and then being able to see movies and stuff.
No, I mean that as far as I'm concerned, that movie, and most people don't know, my team here knows, I basically, I'm so wired to Paramount and Viacom yet, because of I own all the digestibles, liquor, food, under Corleone label. So I'm just like, hello, next year is going to be a banner year for us.
Yes. Because
of the 50th anniversary, which we want to get into, because I know I have people on the inside. In fact, I have a producer that's on that set. And I'm interested to hear what you're hearing about your dad. And we're talking about the documentary of making The Godfather. And I believe it's all through the eyes of Al Ruddy.
Right.
Is that what you know about it?
Tell you what I know so far is, yes, we know that the 50th anniversary is going to be released next year. My dad goes way back with Al Ruddy to the beginning of The Godfather's infancy, before even Francis Coppola was attached to it. So right. Al and Dad had known each other. Dad had that role from the beginning, and it was never an audition situation. Phyllis McGuire of the McGuire sisters had read the book. She was a friend of my dad's. she said this part is going to be great. They're making a movie. It was going to be more about Johnny Fontaine. The book is much more about Johnny.
Right.
But it's you lived this part, and because Dad had to leave and ask for a favor once in his career. And it was very Dad's. I think he really could have nailed that, she said. So Bob Evans said, it's yours.
Let's hold that thought a minute. It's funny because Phyllis McGuire was very involved with me before The Godfather because of Sam Giancana.
Right.
And Sam and I and Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe spent the last weekend of her life together in Calneva.
I know.
And so, I mean, it's funny, and I didn't know your father's relationship with Phyllis at the time.
Yeah, it was Phyllis that encouraged him to go out for it. And as you all know, the movie was going to end up being. So Dad had the part, and then Bob, I remember my mom saying when Bob brought the script over and knocked on our door, he was just a block away, and they were going through it, and Dad was looking at all the different wardrobe changes he was going to have, and he always could say, I knew I had a lot of scenes because I had a lot of wardrobe changes. But then it's drink. Okay.
Oh, well, you know, the pressure they were getting from Mickey Rudin, they took a lot of the stuff out that when they were trying to say Sinatra was romancing a young child actress. And there was, I mean, Sinatra, like your father, got the same call. Your father and I got the same call, actually, of not being in it. And
well, that's not actually right. Dad never got the call that he didn't have it. And that's what
not that he didn't have it.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about got the call from Sinatra asking not to do it.
I have a lot of stories about that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
There are these stories and that Vic Damone had planted in maybe the Hollywood Reporter or after the movie came out that he was approached for the Johnny Fontaine part. Okay. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't, but what we knew is that Bob Evans and Al Ruddy said the Johnny Fontaine part is yours. It's done. It's you. Right. Then when Frank came in, he thought, well, maybe I don't want Al Martino. Maybe I want Vic Damone. And I don't know how far they went with it, but Vic did not take the part. Okay. I think he didn't want to upset Frank.
He didn't even want it, number one.
But
he didn't want to get involved with it. Right. And you being an infant.
Frank, Dad knew that Frank was going to get upset with that part. But my dad had more guts, in my opinion, to take the part because Bob said, once you take this part, you're probably not going to play Las Vegas ever again. Because influence there, Frank had such influence, was so mad about that Johnny Fontaine part, he wanted it squashed and gone. That Dad said, I'm willing to take that. I'm going to take that chance.
Well, your father was a big star anyway, worldwide. So, you know, your father was already a recognized worldwide star. And this only enhanced his career, I think.
You know, I mean, like again, nobody knew what this movie was going to be. Marlon Brando wasn't even attached yet. I guess when Marlon came in, then my dad realized this is going to be going to be acting with Marlon Brando. But I don't think that Dad felt a lot of fuzzy in love when he walked on that set with Francis Coppola.
You know, the bottom line was, and I was there to witness it as an adult and not hearsay, Francis felt that he did not cast the movie.
Right.
He had to have your father. He had to have me. There were certain people he had to have.
Yeah.
And that was it. The deal was made.
Right. But the stories changed, Gianni, as you know, through the years.
Okay? Oh my God, tell me about it.
Like, and that's why we're here talking, because now they're doing this mini series about the making of The Godfather. And you know, I've been a little wonder what they're gonna do. And I do have a little insider myself. So I actually read some of it. And I was a little taken back by how far they're going with this Vic Damone pursuit in this film. And the interesting thing is they have the scene where Al Ruddy and Coppola and Mario Puzo go to the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas to approach him, to almost beg him to do this film. And Vic Damone wasn't even playing the Sands in 1970. So that was
the funniest thing is, you know, this is Al Ruddy, who's in his 90s, and he's glorifying his importance. I know a lot of the script you do. They're not even addressing me at all. They want nothing to do with the mob. They want nothing. I mean, they're trying to make it like, but I'm gonna you know me all most of your life. I'm gonna capitalize on it no matter what. So to me, say anything you want.
I have my stories. I'm here to support my father's legacy. I don't like reading where this is going. I don't know why Al is doing this. I mean, I wanted to show you this photo. My dad was actually the one headlining the Sands in 1970 when they all came, Mario and Bob and Francis. This is the photo. This is them in Vegas when they approached me.
Oh, that's funny. See?
Okay. Now, I don't know if they're changing it, that this was supposed to be Vic.
Which, Hollywood, they'll do anything.
Yes,
they may put Phyllis McGuire in too.
So, I don't know why they've decided. I mean, Johnny, don't you think that the story of Al Martino taking the part of Johnny Fontaine and getting banned from Vegas is an interesting storyline, more interesting than just Vic turning it down?
Yeah.
I've only read I've read episode 1 and 2. I don't know where they're going with the rest of it. I don't know if they're going to come back to the Johnny Fontaine character. They're just going to leave it at Vic Damone didn't take it. Now we're moving on. I've tried to reach out to them. I've tried the director. I've tried Michael Token. I've tried Al Rudd.
They don't want to know.
They're not going to call me.
They're not going to call you.
No, but I actually knew the Ruddies. I knew the Ruddy. I mean, I grew up with them, and Wanda's a friend. So I thought maybe they would, I don't know, just calm me down or something. But no, there's just been no. So I feel like
that would be like me calling them too. There's a line of other people calling them.
Yeah,
they're not going to make what we want. They're going to make what they're doing.
But I guess I just want to. Why are you changing? Why are you making this someone else? That's what I don't. That's what I don't understand.
Make sure you get Megan a copy of that picture. That'd be a great way to exploit this show.
Yeah.
And you could write the byline.
I mean,
you could say, that's not Vic Damone, that's Al Martino.
It's not Vic. And I'm like, Al, are you getting them confused?
Yeah.
So,
well, he's 94.
I don't think Mario Puzo would be too happy either with a couple of the storylines I've read in the script. So, and you never know how many rewrites it's going to go through by the time we see it.
Yeah.
But there are ideas to release it on the 50th anniversary.
I know.
Yeah. What have you heard?
Oh, I know everything about it. I can give you the name. A very close friend of mine. He was a schoolmate of my son at Arizona State, and he was sharing a room. And now all my life, I know him through Hollywood, and I can't mention who he worked for because then you know who he is. But he's on that staff. And in an original creative meeting, he said, how are you incorporating Johnny Russo and Carlo in this? They said, we're not.
Yeah.
And he said, what are you talking about? How did Carlo get the part? He said, we're not going there.
Maybe they were leaving Dad out of it totally. So I'm just like, I mean, I'm either they're going to do the wrong storyline or they're not going to do a storyline. They're just not going to do what you said, what we want.
Yeah, and the bottom line, you and I could team up against the whole thing and get what publicity. You're controversial as I am.
Well, I don't like. My dad taught me a lot about this business. They'll kick you down the street until they need you back. And
of course, it was good as the last movie. If we need you for the next movie,
exactly. But I haven't had much of a conversation with really anybody from the film but you. I mean, Bob Evans and we were tight. I loved Bob, and I went over to see Bob about 5 years ago at the office when he was at Paramount. Yeah. And we sat down together, and I said, Bob, like, did Dad really get that part? I mean, did he really get it? Was there anybody else considered? No way. I mean, he was just
Bob gave the list of who we wanted.
Yeah, and it was he. That cast that said, Dad, you have it. And when Coppola comes in, you can't do anything about it.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Francis. When there's a famous story.
Funny. When Dad was about to go do the scene with Marlon, and they were doing a lot of scenes that day, and Dad was sort of waiting, and Marlon said to Coppola, "Well, what are we shooting next?" He's like, "Well, we have to do the Johnny Fontaine scene." well, who's playing Johnny again? And he says, Al Martino. And then Marlon says, well, you should get him drunk before. And Francis said, look, I have to make this work. Like, I have no choice. Al's in this, and, you know, because he was a non-actor, they were worried, you know.
Of course.
I'd heard that, and he went down to the corner and he bought a fifth of bourbon or something. And he came in and he put the table in front of Marlon and he said, okay, you take the first drink now. And it really broke.
That's a lie.
And it was a very great moment. Dad always just spoke of it such a highly of Marlon. And then obviously when the slap came, Dad was a little inebriated, so it wasn't as hard, you know, and I think Marlon did that on purpose. They really got along. But other than that, I think Dad, I don't know, ever felt 100% comfortable on that set.
Well, I can understand. When you're in any place or anybody's house that you're not wanted, how could you be comfortable?
Yeah. See, I always thought that the reason the Coppola may have had a chip on his shoulder about Dad is because he couldn't go against what he wanted. You know, he wanted to cast that part, and it was given to him.
How do you think he felt about me?
I can only imagine. Tell me.
Oh, no. I mean, I dismissed him at a rehearsal in Patsy's on 119th Street. The first rehearsal. The whole cast, your father was there with the family, you know, different principals. And I'm hearing Brando saying the same thing you're saying. He came to me, first of all, they said, no eye contact with Mr. Brando, don't approach him, don't do anything. I didn't care about the guy. I was up at Patsy's 119th Street all my life, long before I became an actor. In fact, I went up early to meet all the mob guys out in the front. It was Fat Tony Soilshine. And then Brando comes to me. And we heard the story all the time. I make a fast thing out of it. But he wanted to get me fired right then and there. No, I don't know protocol. I never been on a set in my life. So I said, Francis, go over here a minute. I dismissed the director, and he left because he hated me so much. And he didn't know who I was because I had a Chinese chick show outside with a 65 belly at the time. And you know, and the guy left. And then I put my arm around Brando, and I took him in the back room and changed his mind. But they didn't want me in. And Francis, because he told me, you got to get a better actor. And he's like, I can't. Just like that, walked away. That's how frustrated he was. Francis, because he had no control.
There were, you know, I know we could talk forever about this. I think Dad losing Vegas as a result of doing that movie was hard at the time. But now looking back, I'm really glad he did the film, you know, and I'm really glad.
Oh my God, yeah. No.
He didn't, you know, was advised not to take the part. And he said, well, you know, I'm not going to play Vegas from this. I'm willing to take my shot. And now it's the greatest movie, you know, considered the greatest movie ever made. It is the greatest movie ever made. And we're really proud of his scenes. And he never really did movies after that because he was a singer. He wasn't pursuing acting. He didn't do the second one. He did the third one.
They did three. But I mean, like you said, I think in all the things your father has done prior to it, to have this accolade now, it's a great credit. Forget about him to me.
If I can interrupt.
There's, you know, when the
wants to interject something, darling.
Yeah. So, Alison, let me ask you this. So, obviously, your father went through a lot, was blacklisted in Vegas, was given a hard time by Sinatra to not take the part. After all, what did being in The Godfather mean to your father?
Well, okay, it's what it means. It's very interesting that you're also known as Johnny Fontaine.
Yeah.
So I'm getting older, and new generations of kids are coming up discovering movies. I used to be able to say maybe 30 years ago, my dad's Al Martino. Oh, I love Spanish Eyes. Now I'll say my dad's Al Martino. Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather. Oh, yes, you know.
Yep.
That is really powerful. To be known as a character is nothing to be ashamed of. You know, that's making it in the film iconic history. I love that every time Paramount sends a clip of The Godfather, whether it's on Entertainment Tonight or AFI or Best Films of All Made, it's always my dad's scene with Marlon. So I think that's
great
scene. Proud of that. And because he was a live act singer and he was on show business on the road all the time, he got to incorporate those songs into his act. And so it became part of an extra layer.
The layer that, and no matter where he appeared because of that, adding that, the room would go crazy.
Well, back in the 70s, when the movie was the biggest thing in the world, that the promoters tried to book it as Al Martino, Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather, just to,
exactly. Sure.
These movies were exploding at the time, this new Hollywood, and no one had ever heard of Al Pacino or even at that time. So they were like, but I think Dad got screwed again on another end, because when The Godfather had its premiere in New York, they asked Andy Williams to sing the love theme from The Godfather in the lobby, and not Dad.
Well, that was the first time, at the St. Regis Hotel that night. Andy Williams sang it that night.
Yeah, he heard about it.
At the party.
He was livid. I mean, I think he was more mad about that than anything.
Well, that's Hollywood.
Dad said it was because Bob Evans was indebted to Andy Williams for the past movies he had done with him. But I still think that was Dad's song. And then Andy released it as a single. So Dad didn't even get the song from the film on the radio. It was Andy's version.
I know. I knew when that whole thing came down.
Yeah, it was a lot of avalanches. But looking back on it, they can make a mini series all they want. They can tell all the lies they want. They can fabricate all they want. That movie, you're in it. My dad's in it. That's what matters at the end of the day. It's a perfect film, and it's ours. It's our legacy. So let them do it.
I'm making. Well, I shouldn't say this on the radio, but I'm making a lot of money on The Godfather.
Good.
Dilly. I got Clemenza's meat sauce in the jar. I'm selling it.
I love it. You have to send me some, please. So another movie in the works too. Barry Levinson's got a movie coming out on the making.
I know there's three of them actually.
Yeah.
But Barry's doing a movie. I think Jake Gyllenhaal, whatever his name is.
Yeah. I think that movie is more about Francis and more about Francis. I don't think it's a behind the scenes.
Oh no. What they went through and the threats and that nobody wants to talk about. So I like that.
I was looking online and I saw that the desk that my dad gets slapped on, is at Francis Winery.
Oh, it's
right?
in there. Yeah.
I've made 5 or 6 calls to PR people there to say I want to come. They don't care.
Oh, they don't care.
It's funny to me. I don't know. It's just kind of funny. That's an iconic scene when my dad. Can I come see it and just walk in?
Why don't you just go in and see it?
Oh no, I'm going. I wanted them to know. I wanted to test and see how they would if they would. I don't know, Johnny.
No, just walk up there.
Oh no, I'm gonna check it out. I heard the wineries might even be for sale. I don't know if he's gonna still have it.
No, he's living in Argentina.
Yeah. But I wonder what he thinks of the miniseries and if he's working with Al Ruddy and if he's dictating some stories. I don't know.
I don't know if he's even being asked.
He may be not even being asked. Yeah.
That's a big number to get him involved. I understand. First of all, I feel sorry for you because they're talking about your father. But in Hollywood, they don't have a conscience.
Right.
There's
But thank God we have you and Zooms and podcasts and be able to tell our own truth and our stories.
Yeah. I think you're going to capitalize on this. You're going to be happier, I think.
I'm happy that this is the first time I've talked about it, so I'm really happy that it's you who's better going to understand some of the crap that you all had to suffer from after that movie. But it's still the greatest movie, and I keep looking at it and I know it was very hurtful for Dad with the music and the Andy Williams and then losing Vegas, and it was really hard. But I think towards the end of his life, then he would get recognized on the street as Johnny Fontaine, and the movie just became more and more and more and more revered.
Right.
Happy with taking that part.
Oh yeah, how could he not be? I mean,
right.
And Alicia Potter is known as a great singer from a great movie. I'm known as a wife beater. It didn't do anything for my love life.
Jesus. I didn't think about that. Oh, God. Well, my dad was putting horses' heads in people's beds, so I don't know.
No, he didn't do that. No.
Well, you know, as a
Supposedly
result,
Corleone did. Don Corleone.
I was just thinking, your new line of clothes, you should have a wife beater Carlo T-shirt.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I do. What are you talking about? I have in every color. I actually have the orange suit that Jimmy Kahn gave me beaten in my line of clothes.
Really?
Yeah. Very good marketing on Pat.
Yeah, sure.
You know what it says in little embroidery in the corner? Carlo didn't get me. It's a white beater T-shirt. It's huge. Wait till you see it.
And that's a joke. Who knew?
No. Wait till you see it. It's insane. And if
anybody's listening,
he's talking about La Cosa Mia by Gianni. It's a worldwide clothing line. And I'm happy to say it launches this month, July. And our biggest store was Dillage, 380 stores. The first PO. Everybody said, how are you going to market it? They called us.
All right, if I can get back to Alison real quick. Alison, so for people who may only know you as, Al Martino's daughter and may not know what you're involved in, tell us a bit about what you do.
So I guess for the last 10 years, I've been documenting LA, Los Angeles history. And my brand, Vintage LA, has kind of taken off. And I do reporting on Spectrum News, Channel 1 now, history of LA. So I'm sort of like a curator, a collector, a storyteller.
But the brand name, say it clear, is Vintage LA.
Vintage Los Angeles. And
sorry, Vintage Los Angeles. See, I don't even know that. Let our viewers know.
Yeah, it's about 1 million, maybe about 1 million followers, which is really amazing. And I never imagined that anybody loved a history of LA more than me, but there's a lot of amazing people out there that help me curate this thing we're doing. Basically, I didn't want to do vintage Hollywood because I didn't want it to always be about movie stars. I wanted it to be about architecture and food and restaurants and street names. And so it's just everything about LA.
That's great. Good.
Yeah.
And are you no longer like with CNN or doing any of that?
Well, no, I'm with Spectrum News now.
Oh, that's even better.
So Gianni, I went from behind the camera to on camera.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's been very good. I think having all of the producing background was good because I used to produce this show called Mysteries and Scandals on E, and then I did a lot of reality TV. But in the beginning, like the Anna Nicole Smith show and Trading Spaces and stuff like that. And then I started getting to producing Celebrity Rehab and all these really hard shows that I said I want to get back to show business. This is not show business anymore. So then I got back to doing the Vintage LA, and then I curate movies around Los Angeles and show old films and interview. Like I would love to interview you, and I showed The Godfather recently, and I might be showing movies over at the Hollywood Roosevelt.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah. Like I want to show like Bob Carroll, Ted and Alice, and Heaven Can Wait, and Diane Cannon happens to be my neighbor, so I think she'll come with me to the first one. Hopefully,
well,
I've been.
She's pretty introvert. I mean, she's wild.
What?
She's an introvert basically.
She's fun. I got her on Instagram, and she's loving it.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
No, that's funny.
And so you're in New York full time?
I'm a lot of places, but I don't publicize when I'm moving. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in New York most of the time.
Yeah. Well, when you come to LA, we should screen The Godfather, and you and I should get a live audience and go to town.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
No, that sounds like a great idea.
The $1 million theater, it's open, or the Roosevelt, or the Arrow, or something. I mean, I think when the 50th, you and I should definitely. I'm in with the Egyptian and the American Cinematheque and all that. So
I just want to see
Godfather.
and then we'll know what we'll do. What we should do.
Yeah. Are you in touch with other cast members?
No. I mean, Chino and De Niro, but I mean, But Jimmy's in a wheelchair now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not.
Well, Al Pacino is a doll, and the
he's
sweet
best.
him at Dan Tana's all the time, and
Oh,
it just I adore him.
You know, it's funny you should mention Dan Tana's. I was in Dan Tana's with Pacino one night, and with Jesus. I don't know if I should mention his name. Anyway, he was sitting with somebody, and that's how the movie Any Given Sunday came about.
Oh,
because he knew I had something to do with football. My brother owned the Denver Broncos, and that was huge for me. You know, I don't know if you know, I've done 16 motion pictures that I produced beyond the 46 I've been in. Yeah, so it's been a great career for me, you know. As my son reminded me Father's Day, you know, in a year and a half, you're going to be 80 years old, Dad. That's great. Thank you. And I hung up on him.
Well, Johnny, what does the Godfather legacy mean to you? How does it feel 50 years later?
To me, as far as I don't know what I would do or be without the Godfather. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I've owned this brand now for 7 years. Have a lot of money invested in it, and now I'm getting the accolades I want from that. I mean, my wines and vodkas, I just expanded that to 36 brands worldwide. No, I mean, I'm leaving a legacy. I don't know if you know this. We haven't spoken for a while. I have a total of 21 children at this point.
I do know this, yes. Well, Jenny, you're busy.
So that's including my grandchildren. You know, I have 10 grandsons, 9 sons, and 2 daughters.
I mean, when I saw you at CNN, the time before I saw you, remember when we all went to the 25th anniversary of The Godfather in San Francisco?
Yeah.
And you and I and my mom and my dad at the Alex Rocco, we all rode in the car together.
Yeah, and that was up in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then we went to that Jimbo's party after. The whole cast was there. Everyone was there but Marlon.
Well, Marlon didn't go away.
Yeah, he won $1 million.
I was with him, man. I was with him and Michael Jackson and Elizabeth Taylor the last day of his life. We convinced him to go into the hospital. He was 380 pounds.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But I gave him his biggest paycheck, you know, in the freshman.
Mm-hmm.
He got $15 million for that. The biggest paycheck ever.
That was
Andrew Bird, great movie. Good movie.
Gee. But that was a very, very memorable evening, being at the 25th anniversary of The Godfather. I can't believe 25 years now later, but it was really fascinating to walk the red carpet.
Well, they treated everybody like human beings. I don't know what they're doing now. we won't even get an invitation.
No, we won't.
That's how I look at it. I don't care.
Well,
I tell people I go to the bank, not the podium.
Where this goes, I'm very, very curious to see how they're going to, end this series and what it's going to end up being.
No. Well, we'll have to come back, and you'll have to come back.
Yes, we'll definitely. I'll be
close.
As soon as the series wraps and we see all 10 episodes, I'm coming back.
No, anybody's asking me about anything, because I'm on so many things. I'll let them know, if you don't mind, you should contact Alison Martino. She's a couple of stories about The Godfather.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know how to get in touch with you, so I mean.
Look what I have here. Here's the original script.
That's great.
Oh, I love that.
Yep. Super fragile, but it's
that one all signed by the cast.
You still have yours, Johnny?
I wrote a new one every day and had everybody sign it.
Oh, that's so
No, I sold one for 18,000 so far.
Yeah, they're not very easy to find. They're
I had the PA. I made a deal with the guy. I gave him some money. Give me a new script every day. You can't tell anybody. I said, no, we're going to give you this amount of money. So my dressing room had a new script. And every day I'd walk around, roll all the houses there. and had everybody sign it. And they said, "What are you doing? Selling these?" I said, "Eventually."
Well, this is the one that Bob Evans brought over to the house,
Oh, that's
and it's been with him ever since. And like I said, they're just hard to get. I remember, I think Al Ruddy didn't even have one, and his wife found him one on an auction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So I got
too big. Are there any signatures in it though?
no, nothing.
No,
Mm-mm.
that's the
No.
value.
No.
Pacino's signature brings that up to 15,000. I know everybody's price.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
You at least have the keepsake for yourself.
yeah.
I mean, it's beyond memorabilia to me. It's
For you.
Oh,
No,
no,
I'm saying
right.
that's why,
It's
I have a lot of them, but signed. I have the original garbage pail cover on my bar.
Oh my gosh.
Megan, so I got it framed.
Well, mine's not going anywhere. I'm gonna probably donate to the Smithsonian when I'm old or something. You know, it's pretty special. Yeah.
All right, we'll definitely have you back on.
Oh, yes. Yes. There's lots to talk about.
Tell me about it.
2 movies. Well, the movie will be out next year, and the miniseries. So we have a lot to talk about.
Long before that, we'll talk.
Yeah, anytime. And thanks for having me. This is
please. Give my best to my mother.
always good to see you, Johnny.
My pleasure. Always.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Thanks, Alison.
Okay.
All right. Let's make some money.
All right. Thanks for seriously. It was great.
All right, my love. You got my emails. Call me.
I do, and let me know when this is going to air, and I can promote it. Okay?
Yeah, Megan will help with
I'll
that.
keep in touch with you, okay?
Definitely, and I'll send you that picture and a couple other things.
Oh, I think that picture is going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be really
Because
yeah.
we were talking about the subject matter. People would love to see that picture. You know.
For sure. All right, everyone.
All right. Good night, my love. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
We'll be right back. We're going to make some money and then get into the mailbag. We'll find out who's writing this now. We'll be right back. Welcome, everybody. And I'm so happy to be able to tell you tonight that we are expanding not only the show, not only how you can participate and share into so many different facets of my life and the life of this podcast and the world we created. We are going to expand our family. You're going to have an opportunity to actually join our family. And it'll be up to you how far you go in our family. By the purchases of things we're putting out to you, the opportunities that you can take advantage of, like having a one-on-one conversation with me, having me visit your home while you have 10 people for dinner. There's so many things that you're going to be so excited. Just go to HollywoodGodfatherFamily.com and it'll have all the information you want. And believe me, I want you in my family. Don't let me come looking for you. Okay, we're back. Let's hear some news or letters or correspondence or whatever they are.
All right. First we have from Madison. Madison says, Gianni, clearly your life changed drastically after The Godfather. Would you say your life has changed since Hollywood Godfather? If so, how?
Would I say did what?
Your life since Hollywood Godfather.
It's the book.
Oh, Hollywood Godfather changed more than The Godfather. I think The Godfather was a plateau as a young kid, you know, we're talking about 50 years later. I think Hollywood Godfather has been, to me, more important because people now know who I am as a human being. And, you know, I'm not the wife beater that gave up Connie. And I'm a real person that, and I don't mind saying it, that was, you know, hurt as a kid and the trials and tribulations. I think people can explain it. Fortunately, Pat wrote an amazing book that's still selling. And I hear people come up to me now and they say, wow, man, I thought you were just a jerk or whatever to clean that up.
Well,
And
that's
they're
that's
hugging me on the street. No, they're
that's
hugging me on the street.
it's an accolade to your acting ability. They think it's you.
Yeah, yeah. No, so to answer that question, I think Hollywood Godfather really made the difference in my life.
All right. Next is from Lynn says, I'm from Boston and would love to know if you have any stories about Boston and specifically Whitey Bulger. Was the mob looking for him because he was such a rat? Did you hear anything about his murder in jail? Was it a hit or really just some random prisoner?
Well, I would think it was a hit. Whitey wasn't very well liked. And a lot of, as people don't know, people in prison try to shake you down, knowing that he had money. But I can only assume. But I like Whitey. I
He was
mean,
an FBI informant for 20 years. And once that's out, that never goes away.
hello.
So even if it was a sanctioned hit, this is some guy doing 2 life sentences. What does he does a 3rd life sentence? He's
It's a rat.
Whitey Bulger.
Yeah,
He's famous in his own circle.
yeah. And other than that, we can't talk about anybody else because a lot of my people in Boston are very much alive.
All right. Next is from Eve. Eve says, Gianni, how did you get along with Diane Keaton?
I love Diane Keaton. She's such a hoot. Crazy. I mean, totally. I think she's, I'm a very nice person. I've seen her numerous times for lunch in Beverly Hills and around the neighborhood. She's another person who's very private, and she's had a good career when you think about it.
All right. Next is from Robert. Robert says, Gianni, have you ever met Sonny Liston, the fighter, and do you know if the mob had anything to do with his demise?
No. I met Sonny Liston numerous times. I don't know why the mob would have something to do with his demise. But
Just with those. He was a heroin user.
yeah,
That's hard to believe too, because he was. He had a bad habit. He gave himself a hot shot. Just OD.
that's what I heard. In fact, his supplier was very upset because he owed him a lot of money. No, he was never going to get it.
All right. Next is from Nick. Nick says, just wanted to let you know that your stories are amazing and top notch. My question is, Gianni, since you and Sinatra were friends, I have to ask, did you and Ava Gardner ever interact with each other? If so, what was she like?
I can say that now. I would never say, well, Frank was alive. Ava Gardner, I loved Ava. I mean, picture a kid, 17, 18 years of age, in Jack and Trotter's pool as the sun's coming up. And in the pool is Angie Dickinson, is Marilyn Monroe, Ava Gardner, Julia Krause, all skinny dipping. Hello. And these guys were all drunk, laid out on the pool. Inebriated, didn't know who was doing what and where. So, being a gentleman, that's all I will say right now.
All right. Next is from Sebastian. Sebastian says, Gianni, have you ever heard of Gianni Roselli being called Colonel Ralston? And if he was the one who killed Sam Giancana?
He did not kill Sam. No. He did not kill Sam. No. A guy from the neighborhood that was in that kitchen almost every day killed Sam. No, Johnny was already dead, I think. Yeah, Johnny was already dead. He was floating in a barrel, a 50-gallon barrel, which came up. They didn't anchor it very well. And the funniest thing, the guys who put him in the barrel, Johnny Roselli always had monogram this, monogram that, but not the normal little monograms. He had big JRs on everything. So when rigor mortis set in, don't ask how I know this, and they had to cut off his legs to get him into the barrel to seal it. And when they sealed the barrel and brought it out to the bay to drop it, they sprayed paint on it, JR, like fools, and it surfaced and created a lot of problems for a lot of people. But anyway, No, he did not kill Sam.
All right, last one for tonight. It's from Jerry says, love your podcast and your great banter between you guys. I was wondering if you had any knowledge of Johnny Stompanato and Lana Turner. Keep it up and can't wait to see you perform live sometime.
What I know about Johnny Stompanato was a great-looking guy, and what everybody else knew. I mean, that was just on the verge of me getting into Hollywood at that young age. But Lana's daughter went to her mother's defense. He was crazy jealous and physical with her. So that's why the daughter stepped in and got away with it. She I don't know if the audience knows that she killed Johnny Stompanato, stabbed him to death. So, as a teenage kid. And with that,
that is all we have time for tonight.
Biddy, that's all, folks. Well, thank you all again for tuning in. And we have some great shows coming up, great guests. You can only imagine as we approach the Godfather 50th anniversary, like we did tonight with Alison and different guests who have been in the periphery or in the shadows of being made. This is what we're going to be doing and having fun with it. God bless you all. Stay healthy. Good night, Pat. Good night, Megan.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
That's the wrap.
So last week we forgot to call Mike.
I usually just text him, but yeah, last week I was a little flustered afterwards.
Don't be afraid, you can call me.
Nope, I'm
Maybe
good.
it's late, but just call
Yeah, last week I was just a little
Tell me
flustered,
and
so I
I'll be
forgot to text him.
No,
around.
because we talked around 2 o'clock in the morning. So you guys are still taping?
Thank you for tuning in to the Hollywood Godfather podcast. Contact Gianni Russo, Patrick
Megan, you'll hear
Piccirilli,
from me
or
shortly with
myself
some
with your
titles.
questions and comments
All right,
through the
sounds
contact
good.
section of our website.
And then,
HollywoodGodfatherPodcast.com.
how many shows now we are?
Also call and leave us a message at 646-776-3038.
I know, but are we into
Regarding Gianni's
September?
motivational speaking appearances,
We have
you can visit
covered
his
till the
website,
last week of August. So
giannirusso.com.
yes.
Also visit
Or it'll be the first week of
Amazon.com for a listing
Okay,
of
so
books
what
Patrick
do you
Piccirilli has written. Remember
what
to
do you
follow us
guys
on
want to do?
Instagram
You want
at
to do
Hollywood
shows next
Godfather
week?
Podcast,
Let's
as well
skip
as
a
leave
week.
us a review on
Okay.
iTunes.
I don't know if
To know what you like about what we're doing, you'd like to hear
What's
in
that?
the future,
I don't know if I'm going to be
anything else you
having
might
any more
suggest
nights
to improve
off.
our podcast.
Oh,
Most important,
So-
hit the
Summer?
subscribe button.
Yeah.
oh.
Back next week with stories
Okay.
of the mob and Hollywood,
So we
as
have
well
to
as
see. I mean,
answers to
they
your emails
kind of
and
just go
voicemails.
by week if they're going to close. They haven't had a lot of kitchen help. And tonight we were closed for a private party, so I was there all morning setting up for that.
We
But
could change our
So
hours.
why don't we do this? Why don't we skip this week, like Pat said, coming up?
When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for small town girls and soft summer nights. We'd hide from the lights on the village green